Welcome back to the final round. Let's talk about one area of the travel industry that's gotten a bit of a boost over these past few months in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, and that's the private jet business. For more on that, I want to bring in Glenn Gonzales. He's Jetit founder and CEO. And Glenn, we've heard from a number of the big airlines. People obviously are not lining up to get back on commercial flights. So what has demand been like for your business? And I guess how big of an uptick, if at all, are you seeing in people interested in who can in flying private?
Sure. Our demand has been exceptional. We started out the pandemic, we were down to about 20% of our normal activity. However, shortly thereafter, things picked back up. We're currently, from a sales standpoint, we're at 300% of where we were 300% up year over year from where we were last year. Our activity is back to its normal rates, and our charter activity, we've exceeded our normal charter activity by about 40% as well. So our activity is back to its normal position.
So you're exceeding the normal charter activity by 40%. It's up 300% year over year. Are you having trouble at all keeping up with that demand? Have you increased your fleet, or have you thought about increasing your fleet, increasing your headcount? I guess, how are you doing this?
Yeah, Sienna, we started out the pandemic with a plan to grow and to catch up in the industry. In particular, we've been growing very quickly, but we've completed an order for another 10 airplanes. We have partnered with the Honda Aircraft Company and the Honda Jet. So our opportunity in the industry was to recognize the growth and fill the gap in the market. And we're growing, and we're covering all of our needs in the process.
And then, Glenn, thinking about your mix of customers I guess there's no corporate customers right now, or are there corporations who are sending executives around on your flights? And are you seeing more personal use of aircraft this year than you have in the past, given the dynamics we're seeing kind of broadly?
Yeah, Miles, we have been very busy flying individuals, corporations, but mostly our target segment of the market are the small and medium-sized business owners. The people who have to be there. Oftentimes, you have the large corporations, they may have an executive and have support and backup. But in our space, what we found is those small and medium-sized business owners, in order to keep their business moving, they can't miss that next meeting. They can't miss that next supplier discussion. So they have to be there, but they also want to get back home to their families. At the same time, from a recreational standpoint, when they're not flying for business, they're flying their families. They're going to meet with their parents. We've had some of our owners pick up their family members, fly them home so that they can be closer to them, which is very emotional and touching to us as a firm to be able to provide that level of experience to our owners.
Can you elaborate on that a bit? I mean, I imagined, to Miles's point, you've got some new customers that have come on board. There's a certain threshold, I think, for people to be able to afford these kind of flights. But there's a lot of concern with these commercial flights, how packed in they are, your safety. How has that accelerated some of your growth?
Yeah, it really has. As I mentioned, we're 300% above where we were from a sales standpoint as far as selling our shares. Above where we were this quarter last year. We recently closed a share. It's mostly compressed the sales cycle. Those people who were on the fence before have really stepped up and made the decision a lot faster. Our most recent share, family, young entrepreneur, a couple of children, and those individuals, they didn't want to expose their family to the myriad of touch points and exposure that could put them at risk. So they bought into our program.
Glenn, how do you differentiate yourself? I mean, there's a lot of competitors out there. We've talked to NetJets in the past. We've talked to Wheels Up. So when there are so many other options, how do you stay competitive in this space?
Sure. It really is a challenge. And I think the biggest part of that, Sienna, is the simple fact that we fill a gap in the market that NetJets, and we're focused on the regional traveler. With that said, we can do so at a lower price point. Our owners are flying for $1,600 an hour, which is very tough for anyone else to compete with, to have an entire aircraft, private jet available to you, also with a high level of touch and concierge available to you at all times.
And Glenn, what about, just since we're in the midst of this pandemic, obviously people are very concerned about cleanliness and also their safety when they do board any type of aircraft, even when it's private. So how have you changed your protocols at all?
Yeah, we have worked with some outside companies, in particular a company here in the Greensboro Triad area, to teach us how to deep clean and disinfect our aircraft. Really, that's the only thing that's changed about our service. Of course, we deep clean our airplanes more often. We clean the aircraft and disinfect them before and after every single flight, whether we have passengers or not. But the rest of our business is the same. We're a private solution. It's fast, it's smart, and it's cost effective. And it just makes sense for the regional traveler.
Hey, Glenn, for anybody who's watching and wondering, I wonder if I can afford a private jet. How much does it cost?
Sure. Well, the main thing is we are a fraction of the cost because you're buying a piece of the airplane. And with the current administration, they've offered some great tax incentives to help those individuals who are using the aircraft as a business tool. In addition to that, though, when you're flying for only $1,600 an hour, what we found is we're about 1/5 the cost of the normal fractional operators that are in the marketplace.
So how much for a 1,000-mile flight?
1,000-mile flight, you're talking about 3 hours. 3 hours, it's about $5,000. And it's the whole airplane for that flight. New York to South Florida is a perfect example for what you're asking, Rick. And we do that consistently. We've got a lot more flights now flying out of Florida back up to New York, which is typical for this time of year.
Miles, maybe you should fly to Ohio.
I already paid for the rental, Rick.
Rental car, private jet. It was a hard decision, but Miles had to make it. All right, Glenn Gonzales, great to have you on the show, CEO and founder of Jetted. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.